I, 21 male, have a brother, 32, who's married to my soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law, 27. I'm Korean American, and my grandfather still has our family genealogy that dates back to our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, all of whom were Korean. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law and her family that I've met are all white. I'm currently in college, so I wasn't home much, but of course I took a trip back home when my brother said his wife was in labour. I got there after my niece was born, and when I arrived, my parents and their in-laws were outside the room. The situation was very tense. So my dumbness, trying to lighten the mood, barged into the room with a "ta-da, best uncle is here, where's my niece" kind of entrance. My brother wasn't in the room like I expected him to be, but then I saw a very beautiful baby who looked nothing like either my brother or his wife. Her features were definitely not like those of a white or Asian baby. She didn't even look mixed, but she was adorable. I was stunned, flabbergasted, and so dumbfounded that I could only let out a laugh before apologising and awkwardly excusing myself from the room. For the record, I wasn't laughing at the baby, but at the situation, I realised after seeing her. I know genetic mutations exist, but that only crossed my mind after processing the situation. They did a DNA test, and sure enough, the baby isn't my brother's. What followed was a huge series of dramatic events. My brother filled me in after everything settled down. She did cheat on him, but it was an intoxicated mistake, and she swore she used contraception. He decided to get a divorce for obvious reasons, but my sister-in-law is still trying to win him back. When my brother cut off contact with her, she went on a rampage and started blowing up everyone else's phones, mine included. Other than begging for my brother, she keeps bringing up that she knows she's a garbage human being, but insists her baby doesn't deserve to be laughed at. I tried to explain, but no one listened. My brother says I should apologise and move on, but I don't feel like it. So, am I the idiot for laughing when I saw my newborn niece? Should I apologise? Edit, I forgot to add a crucial detail. I asked my parents first in front of their in-laws, and no one said anything until my father told me to just see my sister-in-law and the baby without giving me any explanation. I thought my supposed niece was born with a disability or deformity, or that the delivery had been very difficult. That's why I tried to lighten the mood and expected my brother to be there. Not the idiot. I wasn't laughing at your baby, I was laughing because in that moment I realised that, in your own words, you are a garbage human being. Also, laughing in the face of awkwardness is a pretty normal reaction. I'm pretty sure scientists have studied it. Exactly, you weren't laughing at the baby, you were laughing at the situation and the surprise. You already apologised at the moment. Time to block her since you won't be having a relationship with her in the future. She only wants to keep bringing it up as a way to stay relevant, but she probably knew that's not what you meant at the moment. She's grasping at straws. Yep, she got caught with her hand in the cookie jar, so to speak, which actually is tragically funny. My uncle, a white man, married a glow-in-the-dark white woman. No judgment, I glow in the dark too. When my cousin was born with dark curly hair and a very dark complexion, we knew it wasn't our uncle's kid. Here's the thing, my aunt tried to tell everyone that he's dark-skinned Italian. The twist is that my uncle is my dad's brother. My dad's family is Italian, my dad is only a second-generation American. So this might seem plausible, except my uncle was the result of an affair my grandmother had, and so is not Italian himself. It was whatever, not our business and not my cousin's fault. The hysterical part was, when we were over at my 90-year-old great-grandmother's house, who went on a total rant. Dark-skinned Italian, does she think I'm stupid? I'm old, not blind. I died laughing because everyone had been trying to tiptoe around Grandma, not wanting to upset her, but she was like, "You dumb people, I know." Oh, for heaven's sake, your sister-in-law has bigger problems to worry about than your nervous laughter at an awkward moment. For future reference, you may never ever barge into anybody's postpartum hospital room. Ever. That basically goes for all hospital rooms, but people who are having or have recently had a baby are in an especially vulnerable position. They might be bleeding. They might be breastfeeding. They might be sleeping. I'm a nurse, midwife, and nursing professor, and I never just barge into a room. I, 26 female, will be getting married next year. My fiancé and I are paying for the wedding ourselves with no help from anyone. This includes my dad, stepmom, and my maternal side, who are all invited and are a big part of my life. With that out of the way, I want to know if I'm wrong here. My dad and stepmom got married when I was 10, and it was 2 years after my mom died. It wasn't long after their wedding that my stepmom's family got annoyed on my stepmom's behalf that she wasn't treated like a member of my mom's family and called her my stepmom instead of my mom. They felt my stepmom deserved more respect from my mom's family. Even though my mom's family didn't have an issue with any of them at that point, they just called her what she was, my stepmom. Things got really bad when my dad threw me a sweet 16. He didn't want to invite mom's family because he said it would make my stepmom and her family uncomfortable. I asked who the party was for, and they said they didn't have to come if they had an issue with my family being there. My stepmom told her family, and they put all the blame on my mom's family. And they were acting so offended that I would prefer to have my actual family there versus people who were sort of family but never really felt like my family. There's a really good chance having everyone at the wedding would lead to attempts at fights. But even without that, I really don't have a connection to my stepmom's family. I don't hate them, but I don't see them as my third family. My stepmom is close to her family though and wants them at the wedding. For me, it's less of a headache not to invite them, and it also feels less greedy. Inviting people I would quickly lose touch with if my dad divorced or died, and who I don't care for personally, seems so greedy and like a gift grab. I put my foot down and said no to adding them to the guest list, which upset my stepmom. My dad offered to pay 100% of the cost for stepmom's extended family. He told me it means they're sort of his guests instead of mine, but they're still there. I asked him if he'd keep them on a short leash so they don't start fights. I also asked if he'd make it clear they wouldn't be in family photos. He admitted they would need to be included to stop hurt feelings and more trouble, and he said he can't control adults, so I told him my no was still solid. My dad and stepmom think I'm being a bridezilla about this. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They've spent years making things uncomfortable for you and your mom's family, but now expect a front row seat at your wedding like they've been nothing but supportive. You're setting a boundary, and that doesn't make you a bridezilla. It makes you someone who values peace on your big day. Your wedding, your rules. I would dead tell Dad that if he wishes to mollify these hateful people, then he can sit at home on your wedding day, and I would disinvite your stepmother to boot. Best have security, off-duty cops if possible, on the day of. But is there anyone outside your dad with whom stepmom is friendly? Perhaps you could let her choose one person and their +1 to invite? A cousin of mine whose parents are divorced did that for her parents. We knew they were invited to support the noted parent and not the bride. The row immediately behind the family was reserved for us, but we weren't in all the behind-the-scenes hoopla. Also, they did photos and whatnot before the wedding, so we weren't left out. Why exactly would OP do this? The stepmother and her family are openly hostile towards OP's maternal family. Why should OP compromise on her wedding day? Dad and Stepmonster should be informed that not only is she not getting an emotional support human with a +1 for the wedding, but that she's on mighty thin ice, and one more word about this topic will cause her own invitation to be rescinded. If she can't make it through the wedding day without her horribly abusive family there, she's welcome to sit her happy self at home. My daughter, a young teen female, has been planning a hangout for a month or so now. This hangout was right after her last exam on a Friday and included all her friends. The entire month she hasn't been able to go out as she's been studying for these exams. I'm immensely proud of her and she came back extremely happy, so I'm sure her hard work has paid off. When my daughter told me about this hangout, I immediately agreed, telling her I'd give her the money for it. This, however, was not necessary, as her friend had her birthday only a day later, and said friend's parents had agreed to pay for the escape room they'd be doing and dinner. A bit before that final exam, I learned that my sister and her family were flying over on Friday, right at the time my daughter would be taking her test. They'd booked a weekend getaway at a nearby resort and had everything planned for us to leave right as my daughter came back home. My daughter loves her aunt and cousin. I told my daughter about this and asked her which she would prefer. She was, also as expected, very excited. However, she quickly told me that she wouldn't be able to tell her friends since they'd all been looking forward to this hangout together and she would feel very bad doing so. Understanding this, I decided to text the birthday girl's mother about the situation. It wasn't until we were already on our road trip that I got a call from her asking me where my daughter was. When it became clear to me that she hadn't read the text, I reiterated what I wrote in the text earlier, apologizing to her for any problems caused. The girl's mother got very upset and told me that she'd already booked the escape room for a specific number of people and that she'd paid per person. I immediately told her that I'd be happy to give her back the money and apologize for the issue. She then started yelling at me, saying that it wasn't about the money and that she'd purposely planned it today so all her friends could attend. I was informed then that the only reason they were hosting it a day early was that it would ensure all her friends would come, as if they had done it on the girl's actual birthday, some kids would not be allowed to go due to an apparent no hangouts 2 days in a row rule, which is a very weird rule, especially for young teens. though surprisingly at least 2 of the girls in that friend group would have been held back for such a reason. I tried apologising but said there was nothing I could do as we were already on the road. She screamed at me a little more before hanging up. I have tried giving her back the money spent on my daughter, but she refuses to take it. All the parents involved in this that I could speak to about it are split. Some say that a pricey getaway could not be foregone and that it was only a hangout, whereas others say that their kids were very disappointed at my daughter being absent, as she'd promised them she'd be there. You are the idiot. At her age, does she have to study for a whole month with no social breaks? She then has plans that you make her break, or even encouraged or allow her to break to go on some surprise family trip. She would rather do that than hang with friends she hasn't spent time with within a month. You were rude, breaking the appointment for your daughter and agreeing to this trip. Yeah, I don't understand why the daughter couldn't go to the hangout. Then they could join OP's sister for her surprise plans. Would a few hours really matter? And why did the sister plan something expensive without asking if they would be able to go first? OP talks about how it costs a lot. Irrelevant because no one asked her to. Maybe OP needs to set some boundaries with her sister. It's weird that OP apparently asked the daughter how they felt about it, and the daughter said the friend gathering was more important, as she'd previously committed to it. But then OP is saying that they called from the road and told the friend's mom that the daughter wouldn't be attending the friend gathering. So the daughter said, "I want to hang out with friends," and OP ignored her and took her to the resort anyway. A lot of people are the idiots in this situation, but not the daughter. What I see is a whole lot of adults making decisions without input from the affected children, making demands, whether mean or well-intended, and one child who's studying way too much. You are an idiot. Lack of planning on your part does not equal an emergency for your daughter. Your daughter and her friends planned ahead. Your sister didn't. Cancelling the day of the event was incredibly rude and likely damaged your daughter's friendship. I, 26 male, have been friends with Jake, 26 male, for about 5 years. We're practically best friends and we've always gotten along well. Jake has been in a relationship with Sarah, 30 female, for 6 years. Sarah and I are not close as we've only talked a few times at group gatherings. A few weeks ago, Jake confessed to me that he cheated on Sarah on a work trip a few months ago. He was intoxicated when he told me, and I don't think he meant to let it slip. He didn't seem particularly remorseful either, but more annoyed at the complication. He told me he wouldn't tell Sarah as it was a mistake and he didn't want to ruin what they had. He told me that it was a one-time thing and that what she didn't know won't hurt her. That was a big no for me. I don't know Sarah well, but she's been nothing but good to Jake and she deserves to know the truth, not stay in this relationship being deceived. It felt wrong that she was in the dark about something this major while Jake just carried on like nothing happened. So I decided to tell her days later. I sent her a message explaining what I knew. After a bit, she replied with a single "thank you." I never lied or hid anything from her, so I suppose she had no reason to suspect me of anything. I also have a lovely girlfriend of my own. She was devastated and now their relationship is in shambles. They broke up is all I know. Jake found out I told her and now he's furious. He says I betrayed his trust and that it wasn't my place to get involved. He says that I was a fake friend, a traitor, a backstabber, etc., and that I ruined his life. Some of our mutual friends agreed with him, saying I should have stayed out of it since it wasn't my business. I know I technically broke his confidence, but at the same time, I couldn't just sit by knowing Sarah was being lied to. I don't think I ruined his relationship. He did when he cheated on her. I just made sure she was fully aware of it. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your decision to inform Sarah was not meddling. It was an act of decency. Those who argue that it wasn't your business are, perhaps, unfamiliar with the notion that integrity does not require invitation. Jake ruined his own relationship, not you. If he didn't want his life ruined, maybe he shouldn't have cheated. People acting like loyalty to a friend means covering for their bad choices is just enabling. Agreed, you did the right thing. Integrity means doing what's right, not what's easy. For those mutual friends that think you were wrong, ask them if it was their significant other who cheated on them. Would they want to be told? Ask if they're okay with cheating in general. Perhaps their significant others would like to know that they don't see any problems with cheating or with helping a cheater keep it hidden from their significant other. He's not a friend you want to keep. If he's willing to cheat on his girlfriend of 6 years, what would he be willing to do to a friend he's known for less time and has much less reason to be honest with? I'm mixed on this. I've been in a very similar situation. I truly love that you hold your friends to high standards of character and don't let them get away with low character behaviour. But you should have spoken to your friend before you told his girlfriend. You should have said, "You violated your relationship and disrespected your partner by cheating. You need to tell her. She has the right to know who she's really with, and if you do not choose to tell her, then I will." I know it comes off like blackmail, but this terrible act of his is their own responsibility to confess. Give him the opportunity to tell her on his own. I think going about it offhand and telling her skipped a crucial step, but she needed to know at the end of the day, and I applaud you, as many men use guy code to cover up for their bros, and it's disgusting to me. I hold my friends to high character standards, and I'm glad you did the mostly right thing.